The region that we studied was the Sub-Saharan African region. As you can see from this slide, there are 45 different countries in Sub-Saharan Africa. The top disease burdens of the Sub-Saharan African region are HIV and AIDS, lower respiratory infections, injury, malaria, diarrheal disease, preterm birth complications, birth trauma, and protein energy malnutrition.
And here's another diagram showing the distribution of causes of death among the children in Sub-Saharan Africa. The top three are acute respiratory infections, the second is injuries, and the third is malaria. And malaria is caused by parasites that are transmitted to humans from mosquitoes carrying the parasite. And as you can see down here, a mosquito bites a mosquito that's infected, and those parasites go and attack the red blood cells. And if this isn't treated within 24 hours, this leads to severe illness and often leads to death. Out of the 5 types of parasites that cause malaria, P. falciparum poses the greatest threat and is the most prevalent type on the African continent. And Sub-Saharan Africa carries the highest share of the malaria burden. In 2015, the region held 90% of the malaria cases and 92% of the malaria deaths globally. However, malaria is a preventable and a curable disease.
Maternal deaths is a big problem in the African region. 62% of the world maternal death rates are contained in Africa. They've found that poverty fuels maternal deaths, and which is why the maternal death rate is much higher in poor countries. Adolescent girls are at the highest risk for pregnancy-related issues, and this is in part due to their bodies not being fully developed, and so they are more likely to tear internally and cause issues with that. One of the main causes is that in many countries, there are not enough nurses and doctors, or no nurses and doctors to take care of these pregnant women. 11 to 17% of maternal deaths happen during childbirth, but 50 to 70% of the deaths occur in the postpartum period. They've found that a lot of postpartum deaths occur due to complications that happen during the birth process. Major direct causes of maternal deaths are hemorrhages, infection, hypertensive disorders, and obstructed labor. 20% of the causes are indirect, which means that there is a pre-existing or concurrent disease, not necessarily a complication of the pregnancy, but that was complicated during the pregnancy process. This diagram shows a lot of the different causes of the maternal deaths and gives their percentage in comparison to each other.
So HIV and AIDS is one of the top disease burdens in the Sub-Saharan Africa region, and Sub-Saharan Africa is responsible for 71% of total global HIV and AIDS infections. An estimated, as of 2013, 24.7 million people in Sub-Saharan Africa are living with HIV, which is 4.7% of all adults. As in that year, there were 1.5 million new HIV infections with 1.1 million AIDS-related deaths, while only 39% of adults are on antiretroviral treatment. Key affected populations in the region are young women. More than 4 in 10 new cases among women are women 15 to 24. Children also are a high at-risk population with mother-to-child transmission. However, there's been a 43% drop in new infections among children, and this is due to more women who are living with HIV and getting pregnant having access to antiretroviral treatment. There's also a very high prevalence of HIV among sex workers, which makes transactional sex one of the more dangerous means of infection or transmission So, in order to combat HIV and AIDS, many countries within the region have been pushing campaigns for condom use and distribution. And while they have had an increased supply or availability of condoms, and it has gone up in the region as a whole, there are still many countries where the use is actually going down, and so that's a big problem in the region, as well as mother to child transmission. However, as previously mentioned, 68% of pregnant women living with AIDS report as having access to antiretroviral treatment, which has been able to greatly decrease the amount of mother to child transmissions. And then another big effort that's being made is voluntary male medical circumcision. That's estimated that circumcision can reduce the risk of female to male transmission by 60%, and the World Health Organization, as well as the UN Commission on AIDS, has a goal to have 80% availability or 80% prevalence of circumcision by the year 2016, and that will be estimated to eliminate 3.4 million new cases of HIV in the region.